Hello students, welcome. Welcome to MGM Education. This is all about good governance and government. But the topic is what is the role of state in administration and how the role of state is changing today in the era of globalization. So to make it brief, the role of state on one hand, globalization on the other hand. In the present scenario, since the globalization, the power or the sovereignty of state is gradually declining. Yes. What may be the causes? Why the role of state is now declining? How the world order, due to the globalization process, affecting the policy making of almost all the democratic states, right? And in the present day, the situation is quite different. So we will discuss one by one how exactly there is a declining role we find in the state due to globalization. Point number one, global issues now affecting the states and nations and the government policies. There are many international organizations we know, yes, like IMF, World Bank, and United Nations Organization, and another WTO, World Trade Organization. So, in the age of globalization, right, the spread of globalization began from 1991 onwards, largely. In India, we found its effect because globalization was adopted by our government and signed all the agreements in the year 1991. After that, we are now obliged to follow the rules and regulations that what WTO prepared, right? World Economic Forum, they have set up some principles that has reducing the supreme power or sovereignty of our state. Now there is free trade, but now there is no chance of making free economic decisions and policies. Not only economic, in many other matters also, the power of the state, the role of the state is found to be declining. So globalization is a major setback to the states now. Again, the multinational, the second point we can say that the interference of multinational companies due to globalization. What happened now, major economic decisions relating to preparation of budget also, their interference is very high. Thus what happens, the role of or the functions of a state now squeezed to great extent. Okay, now see, thirdly, it has created a situation of universalism versus nationalism. So neither we can leave the nation nor we can go against the international laws and orders, rules and regulations, principles set by UNO. So overall, it is a setback for states that the states cannot make their policies by free will because they have to focus on the international order and they have to sometimes compromise with their national interest also if necessary. This is a big thing. So this universalism versus nationalism due to globalization is a main cause why the role of state is declining nowadays. So we can say now the sovereignty or sovereignty of the state is no more individual and exclusive, right? Because we are supposed to compromise in certain matters, or else we have to face the world in a different way. That may cause a lot of problem to us. At the same time, this free trade policy by WTO and free flow of people and cultures from country to country due to globalization has also increased the headache of the state and government. for maintaining international order on one hand and serving national interest on the other hand. This brought a confusing state. So it is we are not now having the free hands to make the policies for our own basis, right? So overall, anyway, you see in economic front or political front or social front or cultural front, uh, the state now feel it is a challenge to adjust with the international order and the national order principles. Making foreign policies became a very tough nowadays for almost all the countries, although they have the sovereignty of themselves, but they are facing a lot of problems due to this. And next point is increasing interdependence among the world nations for some or other purpose. See, there are third world countries, the poor and weaker countries, are bound to depend upon the rich countries, or European countries, you can say the Western countries, because all the countries are not full fledged in any, mm, you know, so they want to obtain services. It's give and take of services and goods created a sense of interdependence uh, among all the nations, and the regulating bodies now sometimes put pressure on the weaker countries, and their sovereignty has reduced to great extent due to this obligation. They are forced to modify their policy, foreign policy, economic policy, even national policy. Here, previously they used to see only their interest, but now they have to see their own interest plus the interest of the world in the era of globalization. So, this is a major setback to the state's sovereign power, right? Now, we will go to the next point. This nuclear age, the nuclear war, the role of uh, countries, particularly the nuclear weapon owners, creating a situation in the world in which the poorer countries or the third world countries are afraid of their security. So, by this way also they are obliged to follow some international rules, regulations, principles, orders, which has greatly reduced the sovereign power of the state. And then students, there is a complete erosion, we can say the erosion of the sovereign or equality of nation and states today, mainly because of western countries. They are commanding the policy making power for the international, uh, because the international institutions is being managed and controlled by them maximum, and there are the permanent members of UNO, the five permanent members. They make the policy maybe on their interest that will naturally hamper the interest of other states, as a result of which other states are likely to lose their sovereign. May not lose the sovereign totally, but they cannot be as powerful as yesterday. That's the main thing. Oh, anyway, the rise of several powerful non-state actors is also another factor, we can say, which has become a major challenge to the state to face. And state is bound to modify their own policies and programs because of this. What the non-state actors, they are also called as transnational actors, such as your multinational companies or some non-government private organizations, and international organizations like your International Monetary Fund, World Trade Organizations, right? Security Council of UNO also put some principles that all other states should be obeyed. So what happens then? Naturally, they are obliged to follow the rules and the regulations set by this, and therefore I'm telling this role of state is gradually we find that there is a shrinking of power of the state or the sovereign power of the state. Okay, students. Now we have to see. Many scholars believe that the days of state-centric international system are over, right? And the nation-state system has developed a weakness or a loss of role. The scholars believe that the communication and transportation and the technology and social revolutions as well as the current process of globalization has together caused a big shrinking of a world in which the nation state is become increasingly weak, and as a result of which what happens, it is a great challenge for all the states in the contemporary age now to uh, to face these challenges, uh, such as due to this high technology communication revolution, it revolution, nuclear competition, and weaponry systems they have developed, and all these things may leading to the further fall in the sovereign power of the state in forthcoming days. Okay, students, this is all about how the role of state is declining due to globalization, or the main concept we have so far discussed. Thank you very much.